The most important aspect is collaboration, and a function of that collaboration is actually co-location. And that means actually taking professional medical providers and therapists and community support assets and then co-locating them with traditional law enforcement services. Our model actually started with children, and it's actually reflected in the space that we're in right now, which is Sojourner Family Peace Center, where we combine medical services from Children's Hospital of Wisconsin with therapeutic interventions for the victims and their entire family exposed to violence. A component of that has always involved sexual violence. In my experience as a prosecutor, there is no greater trauma that is inflicted by one person on another person than sexual violence. Short of homicide, there is nothing that impacts a person and their family greater than sexual violence. And certainly when you're dealing with people that are completely vulnerable like children, but it extends to all circumstances. Anytime a person is the victim of sexual assault, it inflicts a tremendous trauma on them that we have to approach in different ways. We traditionally look at it as a crime that has to be solved, and that's an important aspect of it. There's no question. But it's equally important that we make sure that the victim is served, that all of the victims' needs are served, so that the woman that is violated in that way gains a sense of support and is able to cope with the trauma that's been inflicted, and that there's an understanding that the community itself genuinely cares about that person and wants to help them come back into the community and feel safe again. My experience is by working closely with healthcare providers, our insurance companies, and with the community advocates that have focused for so long on vulnerable populations, that we're able to develop programs and responses to this that go beyond simply accountability in the courtroom. I can charge with enough evidence or I can't. If I can't charge, we do nothing. That's not our approach anymore. Our approach is, regardless of whether we can proceed with a criminal case, we want to serve that victim and make them whole again, make them healthy, and make sure that they're able to continue serving in our community in a healthy and safe way. So if I'm looking at where we are now and where I'd like to see us be in 5-10 years, the answer is we've made tremendous progress. We're beginning to look at things from a victim's perspective and understand that accountability is more than what takes place in a courtroom, that we have to make sure that we're addressing that victims' needs across the whole spectrum, making sure their family is taken care of, making sure that they're taken care of. It often requires collaborations with mental health providers, with drug treatment providers, because we've come to learn that the trauma is so painful that if without access to those types of resources, people will engage in self-destructive behaviors that just compound the tragedy that's already occurred to them. So what I would like to see going forward is more commitment of resources from those areas like public health and through healthcare providers, and making sure that every victim, and primarily women who have been exposed to this violence in any context, whether it's in the family, whether it's a stranger assault, whether it's within the campus setting, for example, an institutional setting. You know, we've become as a country much more aware of the traumas that have been inflicted on women in the workplace, and the sense of being able to address that in a way that, again, is forward-looking. We want to make sure that we acknowledge the past harm, but we're making sure that it's not going to take place in the future. And so, in my view, what you're going to see is much closer collaboration between nonprofit entities, educational entities, public health entities, and most importantly, the medical community, because they can provide us the model that's most effective.